How are you, Lenny?
You're looking good, Mike. We're in a real fix here. What do you think I should do?
Lenny, officially, the church will not take any position on the religious implications of these phenomena. Personally, Lenny, I think it's a sign from God. But don't quote me on that.
No, I think that's the smart move, Mike.
Blessed are the eyes that see what you see. For I tell you, many kings and prophets have desired to see what you see, and have not seen it. To hear what you hear, and have not heard it. I thank you, Father, for hiding these things from the learned and the wise, and revealing them to the innocent and the simple.
I gotta tell you, these things are real. Since I joined these men, I have seen shit that'll turn you white.
Now, a story we first told you about yesterday. The Mobile Bay mystery continues. Dozens of sharks that washed up on the western shore of Mobile Bay are gone today, but folks are still wondering what brought them there. It's a mystery this morning when several residents living close to Dolphin Island Parkway on Mobile Bay woke to find about 100 dead black-tipped sharks on the beach. Their cause of death is unknown, and how they got there is unknown. News 5 photojournalist Clinton Bourgeois was at the scene and has this report.
Now you guys are going to have to show me how to eat the crab.
The smell of fresh boiled seafood. That's what Sabrina Rios was looking forward to during her Mobile vacation.
Good.
But early this morning, another not-so-savory smell began to fill the air.
She kept smelling this awful smell like every time a gust of wind would come.
The source of the smell shocked them.
So we checked the beach next door, and where we found it was just lined with sharks.
Just a lot of dead fish gone to waste. Very upsetting.
The group said they counted over 40 of what seems to be black-tipped sharks. At first, they thought they washed ashore, but later noticed this was no accident.
Yeah, we came down a little bit further and we found this. There's probably about 40 more in there. Pretty sure that's what caught them all.
There were close to 100 dead sharks along this small beach in the Bellefontaine area off of Dolphin Island Parkway. Rios said they noticed a group using a similar net yesterday.
It definitely caught our attention because we know that that's illegal and you shouldn't be doing that. We just didn't know what to do about it.
In an attempt to hide the smell, they tried to bury the sharks, but there were just too many.
And they just left them because it was too hard to get them out.
Rios said this incident put a damper on what for the most part was a pleasant vacation.
We were here to enjoy the beauty, to go out on the boat, to go out on the kayaks, and now here we are with, you know, a bunch of dead sharks on the beach. It's just really sad.
The green ooze seen from above Florida's coast prompted a state of emergency. The severe algae bloom on the St. Lucie River responsible for shutting down several beaches in South Florida just before the busy 4th of July weekend.
Trying to breathe in that.
Dramatic footage caught on cell phone camera shows manatees struggling to move through the thick slime.
Just want some clean water.
Good Samaritans do their best to rinse the manatee off, fighting to breathe.
Then watch your head.
Okay. Senator Bill Nelson wanting to get a look for himself.
Look, folks, here it is. 100% horror.
Captain Rufus Wakeman says the thick cover on top of the water is hurting his fishing business. He's unable to rely on the river.
Oh, it's bad. It's all bad. You know, our way of life here in Stuart, Florida is dictated by the river. We have a lot of people who enjoy our waterways, and without good, clean water, they can't.
Parts of Florida this morning are under a state of emergency that caused toxic algae. Some people along the Treasure Coast blame water from Florida's biggest lake. The Army Corps of Engineers plans to cut its flow by about 35%.
The goopy blue-green algae blooms have turned many southeast Florida waterways into a thick, poisonous soup.
It's just putrid. I mean, it just gags you.
Would you swim in this?
No way, I wouldn't even put my foot in it.
Irene Gomes, owner of the Driftwood Motel in Jensen Beach, says the blooms are the worst she's ever seen and scaring away her customers.
How much business have you lost in the last few days?
Well, just from one group of relatives that were coming in together, it was $1,000.
Florida Governor Rick Scott declared a state of emergency in Palm Beach, Lee, Martin, and St. Lucie counties. He blamed water released from Lake Okeechobee, the largest freshwater body in the state. The lake has high levels of phosphorus and nitrogen from fertilizer, animal feed, and human waste, nutrients that algae thrive on. Okeechobee also has a deadly history of flooding and is kept in check by an aging earthen dike. To reduce pressure on the levee, the Army Corps of Engineers must drain some of the lake water into the St. Lucie estuary, one of the areas now inundated by the algae.
Cutting back the flows might allow some of the salt water to come in and maybe flush things out just a little bit.
Some experts say the outbreak can also be traced to septic tanks and rainwater runoff along the Florida coast. Also known as cyanobacteria, the algae occurs naturally. But in huge concentrations, the tiny organisms are deadly to fish and other wildlife.
Clean out your nose, buddy.
This manatee was choking on the bloom.
It's pathetic. It really is to sit there and see an animal just being poisoned to death, basically.
Signs now warn swimmers to stay away because the algae can cause stomach problems and skin irritation to humans.
I don't want her playing here right now.
Gomes says she's worried about her granddaughter.
You don't let her near the water.
No, I can't.
How come?
Because I can't take that kind of risk. I just can't have her, any of my grandchildren out there. It's just not happening. Not taking them.
Chinese authorities are investigating thousands of dead fish in a river near the site of the recent chemical explosion in Tianjin. And while this disaster occurs away from home, US scientists have started an investigation of their own as to why dozens of large whales are washing up dead on the shores of Alaska. 30 large whales in total since May. And the National Oceanic and Atmosphere Administration has declared the string of large whale deaths around Alaska as an unusual mortality event and are racing to find out why.
A federal investigation has begun to determine the source of an unusual mortality event. For months, whales have been found dead, floating on the surface in the Gulf of Alaska or washing ashore. The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration stated Thursday they are well aware of the occurrence. An official with NOAA added they are concerned with the large number of whales stranding in the Gulf.
In whale near Kodiak, Alaska. It's an astounding photograph that's part of a disturbing trend. Since May, 30 large whales have been found dead in the western Gulf of Alaska. That's 3 times the normal yearly average.
They've been floating and/or they've been stranded for a temporary period of time in inaccessible areas, and a lot of those have been moderately to severely decomposed.
Dead whales are also a concern in BC waters.
We've had quite a few whale deaths just recently, but I think overall we're still within a normal range.
Most recently, a dead humpback whale washed ashore north of Bella Bella. It was approximately 12 meters long and weighed an estimated 40 tons. More importantly, it was one of 5 whale carcasses discovered in only 6 days off BC's coast.
We were able to necropsy 2 of those animals, which are fairly fresh, both humpbacks. So we're hoping that if there is anything going on, that some of the information that we get back from the tissues and the samples we took will tell us if there's anything unusual going on.
What's killing the whales is a mystery. Off Alaska, the tally includes 11 endangered fin whales, 14 humpbacks, 1 gray whale, and 4 unidentified cetaceans. The leading theory is toxins from an algae bloom, but there's no conclusive evidence. It's almost impossible to get samples from carcasses that can't be retrieved.
For the harmful algal blooms, we want, say, for example, the liquid in the eye, feces, and maybe bile and urine. For infectious disease, we would probably take different tissues.
The growing number of deaths has triggered an extensive investigation. Members of the public can help by immediately reporting any sightings of dead whales or whales in distress.
huge numbers of fish have washed ashore in the Hatton, Gwangbin, Gwangji, and Thừa Thiên Huế provinces. The dead fish have been washing up on beaches along the country's central coast, include a rare species that live far offshore in the deep waters. The kill-off is apparently caused by industrial effluent, and state-run media coverage says the government is focusing on a mile-long wastewater pipeline that runs from a multi-million-dollar steel plant in Hatton, owned by Taiwanese conglomerate Formosa. Dead fish washing up on shore is caused by serious pollution and is now threatening the food source, with no resolution in sight. Locals are told not to eat the fish, but they are also wary of their catch from the sea. The fish kill puts Vietnam's traditional fishing industry in conflict with the company's push to become an industrial power.
Florida is known as the fishing capital of the world, but right now there's a lot less fishing and a lot more concern about what's happening to their valuable and vulnerable ecosystem. If you walk up and down Indian River Lagoon, you will see this. Thousands of dead fish belly up in the water. There are several different factors going into play here. One is the state received about triple their average rainfall for the month of January. All of that rainwater and runoff has gone straight into the rivers and the lagoon. Not to mention, because of El Nino, temperatures were warmer than normal, allowing for a toxic algae bloom and brown tide to take over. The algae bloom depletes the oxygen from the water, in turn killing the fish, and has also killed more than half the lagoon's seagrass. The Florida Fish and Wildlife Research Institute says the fish kills happen all the time, all over the state, but this one is massive. Farther south, there's another problem. Lake Okeechobee is the highest it's been in 10 years. So right now, the Army Corps of Engineers is draining it. Billions of gallons of fresh water pouring out of Lake Okeechobee. This brackish water affecting the salinity of all the estuaries. The Army Corps of Engineers says that they are backing off to a safer discharge. But if you ask the fishermen in the area, they say it's too little, too late.
Earthquake in Southern California overnight and multiple aftershocks this morning from San Diego to LA. ABC's Matt Gutman on the scene there. Good morning, Matt.
Good morning, George. That's right. So far, there have been at least 7 aftershocks in the area, varying from a 2.6 to a 3.5 magnitude. Now, that main quake, that 5.2, was felt by people in at least 3 counties, home to 15 million people. The quake hit at about 1:05 Pacific time, 60 miles northeast of San Diego, 110 miles southeast of downtown Los Angeles. Now, this surveillance video shows those cars shaking in a parking garage. People here in Los Angeles reported feeling that jolt, windows shaking, buildings rolling in waves. But pro skateboarder legend Tony Hawk described it differently, tweeting, "Earthquake, it felt like a bus hit our house." Tweets also coming from other Southern California residents, including that earthquake saying it was terrifying, felt like a freight train coming into my bedroom. There was also that 6.1 quake that rocked Nicaragua yesterday. Seismologists insist these events are unrelated. So could we be readying for the big one? Well, probably not. We're told that this is likely to happen in the San Andreas Fault, and this was felt in the San Jacinto Fault.
Fox News alert, we are just now getting reports that a magnitude 7.1 earthquake has hit southern Japan.
Let's just bring you some pictures now, just in from Japan. Another earthquake's hit the country's southwest this evening. The second quake measured 7.1 on the Richter scale, larger than the previous one. It happened near the city of Kumamoto. 3 people have died after this second earthquake. This one was very shallow, striking at a depth of only 7 kilometers, which is very close to the surface compared with many earthquakes that run along that Pacific fault. This information is coming from the U.S. Geological Survey.
A magnitude 7.3 earthquake has struck in Kyushu region in southwestern Japan. It's the same area that was jolted by a powerful quake on Thursday. 11 people have been confirmed dead, while more than 880 people are being treated for injuries. Meteorological agency officials say the quake occurred at around 1:25 a.m. on Saturday, Japan time. The jolt registered an intensity of 6+ on the Japanese seismic scale of 0 to 7 in Kumamoto Prefecture. Aftershocks are continuing.
Death toll continues to rise after a massive earthquake hit Ecuador over the weekend. An American is among the victims. The State Department says the unidentified person is among the 415 dead from Saturday's 7.8 quake. Survivors are still being pulled from flattened buildings and mountains of rubble. 2,500 people are injured and scores are still missing.
And now it's time for a mix. So there's a strange noise coming out in Forest Grove, Oregon that nobody knows what it is or where it's coming from. Take a listen.
Okay.
Isn't that weird?
It's excruciating.
They have no idea where it's coming from. At first they thought maybe it was like metal screeching on a train track, but there are no train tracks nearby. Somebody recorded it, took it to the fire department. The fire marshal there says that they just have no clue. What could be that noise?
So wait, so it's still a mystery at this point?
It's still a mystery. Still a big mystery.
I wake up to these sounds in the middle of the night. It's about 7 o'clock in the morning right now. This is in Everett, Washington. And there's nothing over there. I've driven over there looking to find something, and there's nothing over there. In fact, there's a wetlands, and then on the other side of it, there's actually more wetlands. There's really nothing out there. This is the area between Snohomish and Everett, Washington.
It's 3:35 in the morning, and I keep hearing this noise that wakes me up. This is the third night in a row. This is recording loud enough. There is nothing out here. Lights are coming on all over the neighborhood. Apparently everybody else is hearing it too. Stand here and see how long it lasts. Okay, maybe not.
Tornadoes are on the ground in Oklahoma, one reported to be a mile wide at the start of what is expected to be a dangerous evening in that part of the country. This ominous tornado captured on live cameras as it roared outside Oklahoma City just a short time ago. Oklahoma, along with parts of northeastern Texas and Arkansas, are under tornado watches right now, with severe thunderstorm watches posted into Nebraska.
Tornadoes have lashed the southern United States, bringing death and destruction to Louisiana and Mississippi. At least 3 people were killed and more than 30 others injured as the storms destroyed dozens of homes and businesses. Hardest hit in Louisiana was a trailer park that was almost entirely demolished. 2 people were confirmed dead there, and with reports of others unaccounted for, rescue crews combed through debris searching for anyone who might have been trapped. Another person died in Mississippi when a mobile home there was destroyed. As many counted the costs, schools and government offices in both states cancelled classes or closed early. And the warning is that this isn't over yet, with Florida, Alabama and Georgia either already hit or expected to face the full wrath of these tornadoes.
All right, you see this? That's the strange sight that lit up our San Diego skies this morning and our phones in our newsroom as well. The 10 News military reporter Hannah Mullins reveals why the military is likely ruled out as the cause of that rare light.
I love the video. I mean, looking at it, it's very cool.
Before the sun was up, Frank Redmond captured this splash of light on his dash cam.
This looks consistent with what we call a fireball.
Robert Quimby is an astronomy professor at SDSU and the director of the Mount Laguna Observatory. He's never seen anything like it in person and said it was unusually bright.
There's a couple instances when it brightens and then fades and then brightens and fades.
And then it vanished. Quimby said it was likely a space rock ripping through the sky.
Many of you saw it, a huge flash streaking across the night sky just within the past hour. NASA saying they believe it was an asteroid 10 feet in diameter. Experts and amateurs alike now combing the ground south of Show Low, hoping to be the first to find it.
An asteroid has exploded over Arizona. Now, this happened early this morning, June the 2nd, around 4 o'clock a.m. Mountain Standard Time. Now, it hit the Earth's atmosphere and it exploded over the state. There was a bright flash and the ground shook from the explosion, according to reports from a Chris Schuer of Payson, Arizona, who says the flash of light was about 10 times brighter than the full moon. The explosion actually blinded a NASA camera located at the Fred Lawrence Whipple Observatory on Mount Hopkins in Arizona.
You could accept the fact that this city is headed for a disaster of biblical proportion. What do you mean, biblical? What he means is Old Testament, Mr. Mayor. Real wrath of God type stuff. Exactly. Fire and brimstone coming down from the skies. Rivers and seas boiling.
40 years of darkness, earthquakes, volcanoes.
The dead rising from the grave. Human sacrifice, dogs and cats living together. Mass hysteria. Enough, I get the point.